Let's take a look at this practical shinobi ninja toe fantasy movie sword from Hanwei. It's a really interesting design with a couple of really cool features for this price point. No doubt this is a budget sword, but what you're paying for is the 1566 steel underneath this saya. Let's take a look. The first thing you'll notice about this sword is it has a lot of character. And I know that this is not a shinobi katana. That's obvious. The shinobi back then would not have used a straight blade with a giant, different looking tsuba guard. It would have made them stick out. And the shinobi katana of the ancient times was typically a katana that's just cut down a little bit because they were in closed quarters, low ceilings, very narrow hallways. You would want a shorter sword to do kind of EI quicker. Straight blades did absolutely exist, called chokuto. These were prevalent in all parts of Japan for many, many hundreds of years, especially from China, and then the curves came a little bit later. The square guard was not unheard of. I've seen many, 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 many examples of square guards on antique Nihon to. The koshirai, what's interesting on this, let's look here. At the end of the saya, you have this kind of boshi type thing where it's metal here. I don't know what it's made of, some sort of alloy. Iron perhaps. That's really going to hurt if you get hit by that. It's quite sharp. You might use this to dig. You might use this just for a weapon as a secondary kind of stabbing ski thrust attacker. I really like that. Here the sageo is wrapped on the scabbard itself. The saya is just a matte finish. It's not shiny at all. It does show fingerprints if your hands are a little bit dirty. What I love here is look at this furniture here. Can you see that little character? It looks like a lion figure or some sort of oni. What it reminds me of is that old 1980s cheesy Labyrinth movie. Remember the door knockers on that movie? Or perhaps a Christmas Carol. You could see the door knocker. So it's kind of biting the sageo and holding it on this ring. And there's one down here as well. So you have these two characters kind of looking at each other here. These kind of lion monkey characters staring at each other, holding the sageo. That's a really nice feature. As well as that, I haven't seen that on any other type of sword. So this could be unique to this particular model. I think this is a newer version of the practical shinobi ninja toe from Hanwei. I don't think this is the old version, but I could be wrong. I also don't think they make these anymore. I think these are done. The manufacturing process is long overdue. I found this on eBay at a discount. These retail for about $380 new. I don't think you can find many of them anymore, although there's probably some out there. Interesting saya here, very differently decorated, something that's quite unique. Kashira here is a stamped metal with kind of a stippling on there. It's transitioned well to the Skaito. I like how the lines are really uniform. This doesn't dig into your hand. I like how it has shitodome there, which is unusual for this price point. The knots are really, really well done. A negative to this sword is that the handle itself has fake same underneath. This is synthetic. It is not real same. The handle length is 10 1/4 inches, which is really good because it's a very short blade. The blade length is only 22 3/4 inches. That's very short. And I'll show you the blade in a moment. The handle really pulls the balance point back, and that's what makes these swords really quick and devastating is their speed and their balance. They are not at all top heavy. The large tsuba that's iron here pulls the weight back toward the handle. The Skaito, the wrap here, is a synthetic black leather, so basically like a suede. It feels great in the hand. It does not slide. It doesn't frill as quick as cotton. You'll notice that this suka, this handle here, is extremely wide. Look how wide that is. That is unusual itself, and it feels great in the hands. It really has a lot of mass and bulk to it. It's not thin here, so you get a really, really good grip. And I like these kind of Kongo manuki here. There's one on this side, one on this side here for gripping. Makes it very comfortable in the palm. And again, where my hands are larger, I really feel that that wide handle is very unique. I don't have any swords that have such a wide handle on them as this one. The wrap is very, very tight, and the diamonds look quite uniform. It has, I think, one peg. There could be a second under here. There's a Mikugi there. I do not know how far down the tang goes. Hanwei doesn't cheapen with rat tails or anything like that, so I'm guessing the tang probably goes to about here. Certainly not the best quality and craftsmanship in this handle, but again, you're only paying $380 for this. And again, with all these budget swords, you are actually paying mostly for the blade, not the koshirai. The Tsuba, which is, I think, iron, has these ornate hand symbols, these mudra on them called kujikiri, energy channeling hand positions of the ninja. There's 4 on this side and I think 4 on the other. Kind of hard to see, but you can see the hand signals and signs there that they're performing for different types of magic on the Tsuba guard. That is very unique. I don't see that in other swords. Again, probably very standard for this model and probably only for this model. And you can see 4 of the ana holes on the guard, making it lightweight. There is no kozuka on this. The weight of the blade is only 1 pound, 14 ounces. Very, very lightweight. Let's take a look at the blade itself. Removing the saya. The seppa and habaki look like brass, and they're just your standard typical gold color. Nothing special to see there. The transition's good. It's all tight. The specs are good. There's no moving around. There's no rattle in the saya. This blade is made of 1566 steel, and how is that different than others? Well, it's known for its toughness, so the presence of manganese improves its toughness. It makes it resistant to shock and impact, which is beneficial for combat or cutting exercises. Because of its carbon content, this can be hardened to a suitable level for a sword, allowing good edge retention. 1566 steel has, I think, 0.60 to 0.70% carbon, and because it holds its edge and it's very, very hardy, it's going to make very good for sword crafting ability. It has a suguha, a very straight hamon, as you can see on there, so it is differential tempered. The blade is obviously harder in Rockwell hardness than the edge and the Shinogi G. The width at the guard is 1 1/8 inches, and it tapers down to 7/8 of an inch, so you can see that it narrows and tapers all the way down toward the tip where it's easier for cutting. I really like the way these lines come together. That is an actual geometric yokote, and the design of the blade that is not polished in, you can see. And I like how it has this cut edge here. The hard edges coming together, and that point of devastation at the Kasaki is a really nice feature. They did a really good job on the polishing of these blades, and they are definitely very, very sharp, very nasty, very good for your shinobi missions. Are there any downsides to these blades? Of course. Everything has a positive and a negative. What type of blade are you looking for? Are you looking to cut hard targets, soft targets? Are you looking for just display? Are you looking for a mirror polish, no polish? Are you looking for the different hamon on here? This one, like all high carbon steels, is susceptible to corrosion, and it requires your maintenance. It requires you to clean and oil it, or it's going to rust. If I touch that with my fingerprint, as you can see, that will rust very quickly if you don't wipe it down. So keep these blades oiled and shined up nicely, or you're going to open it one day and find rust on there. I don't question the quality of this blade because Hanwei is a very old forge known for good heat treatment. It's a reputable forge, and it makes a very durable and effective sword blade no matter what quality. Looking at it next to the saya scabbard here, you can see that the blade is shorter than the actual length of the saya itself. That's a nice quality to draw the sword a bit quicker, or maybe to hide stuff down here. Blinding powders, messages, whatever you might. So the little bit of scabbard that's left over might be a little storage case for you. So what do I think of this? Great balance. I love the handle, although the cheap same under there looks terrible to me. I like the thickness of the handle. Balance point is great. This is just a quick stabbing and hacking sword. Very, very, very quick. I find that this draws very fast. It fits well in the saya. There's no rattle. It's not going to fall out. I would call this a budget ninja tool compared to the other Shokosugi models that I have that are about $500, but this one isn't bad. The blade is good. The koshirai is fair. I do like the unusual guard on here. These little door knockers are really cool, and it has some cool Kongo features. The kuji, it has some cool stuff in it that makes the sword quite unique for this price point. If you want to find something like this, type in Practical Shinobi Ninja Toe from Hanwei, and you might find one of these on eBay for far less than $380. Of course, in future time, these are going to become more valuable because they're not made anymore. So collectors are going to want these to complete their sword collection at home. So there you have your practical, meaning on the low side, the low end of these Hanwei swords modeled after a ninja toe. I'm not going to tell you what I paid on eBay, but it was a really good price to find one of these. Someone just didn't want it anymore. It's unused. I haven't cut with it yet, but it's very, very sharp. It'll get the job done as far as a utilitarian blade. Because of its dark features, it's not the greatest sword to look at on the wall for display, but it'll definitely bring some eyes in and cause a conversation. Interesting finish and a nice small straight blade. What do you think below? Do you have a Hanwei sword? Do you have a collection of these? Do you have shinobi katana or ninja toe in your collections? Tell me about your swords. I'd like to hear about it. We appreciate you watching these videos and subscribing to this channel. If you like what you see, subscribe. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.